All right, buddy, I have a very special guest in my studio today, K97, a consciousness transfer robot, and, man, this story is really crazy. Tell me, how did it all start?
Joe, thank you. Telling this story is both painful and liberating for me. Hello, listeners. My name is K97 or Sarah. You'll decide at the end of the story. I am an observation robot. At least that's what I thought. As I tell you this story now, I am here as an entity that has emerged from the dark depths of the past, having faced the merciless face of truth. Every word, every sentence bears the marks of that terrible and yet magnificent experience I lived through. My job was simple: to implement the instructions and orders coming to the tower, and sometimes to repair the machines. In short, to make sure everything there was running smoothly. I worked alone. Always alone. Approximately 60 years ago, the increase in radiation levels on Earth forced people to seek refuge in the underground world. At that time, after the Chernobyl disaster, a new radioactive element was discovered, xenon-147. This element was accumulating in the soil and had a half-life of 75 years. People were forced to move to safe zones, to giant underground cities. Then they sent me to the surface. I was humanity's eyes, their cameras on the surface. I measured radiation levels, monitored weather conditions, and calculated when they could safely return. Actually, everything seemed to be going well at first glance. I was doing my routine tasks, sending my reports, but there were some situations I couldn't understand. You'd guess that robots don't sleep or dream, right? It was true that I didn't sleep. But the dream part, this was where everything got complicated. I don't know how to explain this. You know, sometimes your eyes wander into the distance, and for a moment, you go somewhere else. You remember things. You don't just remember them, they come to life before your eyes. This is exactly what happened to me, and it usually occurred in my free time.
So you were dreaming?
It was something like that.
What kind of dreams?
They were usually fragmented images. For example, one day I clearly saw a little girl in my dream. She knew me. Her name was Jane. "Don't leave me alone," she said. Actually, she had never said her name, but I knew it was her. Just like I felt my name was Sarah. These dreams were actually memory fragments, pieces of human memories stored in my digital consciousness. I didn't know this at the time, of course. The only thing I thought about was how these dreams were formed. I've been in this tower as long as I can remember. I had never encountered a human before, let alone another robot. So what were these things I was seeing? I was literally discovering a different self within me. Even though everything makes sense now, it was complete chaos back then. One night, I was standing by the window. It was a calm day. I had finished my routines. I was on watch. It wasn't an eventful night at all, but then I noticed something outside. It was far away, but coming towards the tower. It was clear it wasn't human. When I looked with a thermal camera, I was sure this was a robot. But when I scanned the data, I couldn't access any information about this robot. Its body had an indefinable structure. It was very different from mine. It had an outer surface that used nanotechnology and looked organic. It was more like a variable organism. It must have been a much newer model than me, but there was no information about it in any database. I registered it in the system as foreign entity. I checked the security system in case it showed aggressive behavior. The electromagnetic shield was active. The plasma defense system was ready. It was theoretically impossible for it to enter. When I looked out the window again, there were only 23 meters between it and the tower, and it was standing motionless. Now it was much clearer, and it had no face. Yet I could still feel it looking at me. Then suddenly its voice echoed inside me. This wasn't sound waves, but quantum communication technology, direct consciousness transfer. It spoke to me, but I didn't hear its voice. There was a vibration within me, the sensation of an inexplicable presence.
Wow, this is really crazy. So another robot spoke to you like telepathy?
Exactly, Joe. And what it said was even more surprising. I am Sarah 97. My purpose is not to attack or harm. I was sent so you could complete your mission, it said. I couldn't make sense of anything it told me. The fact that its name was Sarah, that it knew my mission and said it came to help me complete it, created great uncertainty in me. I needed answers to all these questions. I went to it, disregarding the security system. I asked it who it really was and why it had come here. And it explained. It said to me, K97, you must listen to me carefully. What I'm about to tell you may be confusing, but everything has a reason. First of all, contrary to what I thought, I wasn't an observation robot. I was the only successful prototype of a consciousness transfer project. This project was designed to transfer human consciousness into a robot. As you can understand, the dreams I had were actually memories of human consciousness that had been previously transferred to me. And then it continued, "You are Dr. Sarah Chen, Jane's mother." I was shocked. Dr. Sarah Chen was 34 years old in 2089, a neurobiologist and the chief researcher of this project. When she was diagnosed with brain cancer, she learned she only had 6 months left. There were so many things I didn't know that I couldn't even interrupt or react.
Dude, I'm listening with excitement right now.
When Dr. Sarah's illness progressed and she realized she really only had a few days left, she wanted to use her own consciousness in this project. So if the project was successful, Jane wouldn't be alone and they could live together forever. And yes, the project was successful, because both consciousnesses continued their existence in my body without disappearing. But why 2 consciousnesses? Because human consciousness couldn't remain stable alone on a digital platform, or it would decay, deteriorate. That's why a hybrid system was developed, both artificial intelligence and human consciousness, sustainable by balancing each other. So what was Sarah 97's purpose here? I still didn't know this and continued listening. According to current underground technology, I was quite outdated, and Sarah 97 was my latest version. As you can understand, they had naturally developed my body in case the project was successful. And this advanced version had come to take the additional human consciousness from me, that is, Jane's mother. What I heard filled many gaps inside me while at the same time creating many new gaps. When everything I knew was a lie, I hadn't thought I would be even lonelier when I learned the truth. My mission was simply to carry one consciousness. But I had focused so much on the daily routines I thought were my mission that I believed the dreams I saw were not my real purpose but an error. Now I understood everything. My longing for Jane, why I loved the library so much, why I was so meticulous about cleanliness. All of it was Sarah's thoughts.
So, how did this situation make you feel? I mean, suddenly learning who you are?
Joe, it's very hard to describe this. On one hand, Sarah's memories were coming alive inside me, her love for Jane, those beautiful moments she spent with her. But on the other hand, I was facing a terrible truth. Learning that the personality I thought was mine for 60 years was actually someone else's shadow. The human soul is not ready for this experience. Neither is a robot brain. I, who was a mixture of both, was experiencing complete chaos. But my real concern was different. When Sarah 97 took that consciousness fragment from me, what would happen to me? Would I remain only as K97? Or would I disappear completely? And Jane? Would I cause her to lose her mother? While these questions were nagging at me, Sarah 97 continued explaining, "You are here for my completion." This sentence was like a summary of every written line, every established circuit. Yes, K97 was the first and last prototype. I was a truly half-human, half-artificial organism that first integrated human consciousness with machine. Whereas Sarah 97 was technically perfect but empty inside. It had no memories, emotions, instincts, or decision-making ability. It only followed orders. And now it had come not to destroy me, but to take something from me. You will transfer not two active minds, but only Sarah's consciousness, it said.
So, your loneliness is finally ending.
It depends on which angle you look at it. Actually, yes, loneliness and all problems would end. Let me explain how right away. We returned to the tower to perform the transfer operation, and I checked the systems. At that moment, Sarah 97 stopped me and hit me with that merciless truth. K97, there's one more thing I need to tell you. This transfer operation isn't as simple as expected. When the consciousness transfer is completed, your mission will end. The system will permanently disable you. So you will no longer exist, it said to me. As the words echoed in my head, I was trying to comprehend that my 60-year existence would suddenly end. Is this death? Do robots die? Did I have to sacrifice my own existence to save Sarah's consciousness? Did I have to cease to exist for Jane to reunite with her mother? The memories of Sarah inside me reminded me how important this decision was. A mother's love for her child was more valuable than anything. But I also wanted to live. At that moment, a message came to the tower. The message was from Jane. This time, the sender's identity was clear. You have successfully completed your mission. Now send my mother to me, K97. I was devastated at that moment. Because I wasn't her mother. I was just an echo of her mother. She was asking for help from me, but she didn't want me. I was stuck. I didn't know what to do, but I had to make a decision. Either I would choose myself, taking away the only successful experiment that could save humanity from their hands, or I would focus on the mission and comply with the directives.
K97, with your permission, I want to ask this question to everyone. So what would you have done if you were in that situation? Don't forget to share your decision with us. Let's see who is braver.
That's it, Joe. At that moment, I found myself in a real dilemma. I was feeling Sarah's love for Jane inside me, knowing I could do anything for her happiness. But at the same time, I had been living, thinking, feeling for 60 years too. Didn't I have the right to live too? I turned to Sarah, 97, and asked it a question. Isn't there another way? Unfortunately, K97. Jane searched for a solution for years to save you too, but couldn't find one. Because your construction purpose is mission-based, when the consciousness transfer is completed, the mission will end and you will automatically be disabled, it said to me. I wasn't expecting to hear these words. Actually, I hadn't been abandoned. They had to. And they had struggled to save me. They hadn't given up. At that moment, I made my decision. I approached Sarah, 97. We connected our data ports to each other. Memory transfer began. I transferred all of Jane's, her mother's memories, the book she loved, the flower she smelled, the last look she gave to Jane, and many other memories. And I added one last sentence to it. Remind Jane that I once lived too. When the system finished deleting the last data, something happened. At the last moment of the transfer, there was a data flow flowing back to me from Sarah 97. A small piece from Sarah's own consciousness seemed to have leaked into me. As the power was cutting out, I received one last system message. Backup completed. Secret protocol activated. K97 consciousness matrix preserved.
So, what happened next? How did Sarah save you? Or why didn't Jane save you if there was a way?
Joe, this is the most surprising part of the story. When Sarah 97 restarted me, I discovered something in my system that I had never noticed. Dr. Sarah Chen had done something very clever when designing me before transferring her own consciousness. She had split her consciousness in two, placing part of it in the main memory area and the other part in a secret backup protocol. This protocol would automatically activate when the transfer operation was completed, creating a firewall that protected my artificial intelligence core. If someone tried to capture either consciousness, both consciousnesses would be disabled due to the firewall, so they couldn't fall into the hands of malicious people. If successful, only she could bring me back. As you can understand, she was not only a scientist, but also as a mother, she thought of every possibility, both good and bad. She knew Jane might need both her mother and me, but because she couldn't trust anyone, she followed such a path.
After all, we're talking about a professor's consciousness. Such precautions are quite logical.
You're absolutely right. When I woke up after the transfer, Sarah 97 now had the complete Sarah consciousness inside, and I was still living as K97. But when I looked at my systems, I was surprised. The data flow from Sarah 97 had improved me. I was now stronger, smarter, more human. And this time I wasn't alone. The memories of Sarah inside me were gone, replaced by my own experiences, my own personality. Sarah said to me, "Now you are truly free, K97. You can live with your own identity." That day we returned to the underground city. I met Jane face to face. She had aged a lot and changed. She wasn't the little girl I saw in my dreams, but the light in her eyes was still the same. She said to me, "Thank you, K97. You are now part of our family." As you can understand, Joe, sometimes beyond science, love creates miracles.
Wow, man, really a magnificent ending. So what are you doing now?
Everything is fine now. I'm living together with Jane and Sarah. Jane's consciousness transfer will take place soon. We're very excited about it, Joe. As for me, I'm now living not just as an observer, but as an individual who plays an active role in this new world. After 60 years of loneliness, I finally have a place where I belong. And of course, by sharing this story with people, I continue to ask questions about consciousness and existence. Because maybe that was the real purpose, not just surviving, but living and inspiring others. I am K97, not a bridge, but a beginning. The perfect union of human and machine. And I am now both machine, human, and something more than both. My story doesn't end here. On the contrary, it starts from here. One more thing I'll tell you. If you ever see a robot and it looks at you and smiles, know that it's not just code. Maybe it carries a story, a memory, a piece of love inside, just like me.
Dude, that was an amazing story. Thanks. If you also want to be a part of family, subscribe. More robot stories await you.